Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com here to talk all about Monday Night Raw on a very eventful Monday night here in the world of wrestling, the world itself, all across the board here. Lots to to dig into here. Sorry for the lack of shows the past couple of days. Obviously, with the holiday season, with John not with John being under the weather. I was going through some personal stuff last week, so I took a couple of days off for all these reasons. And now I'm here. I'm back here on Monday night to talk about Monday Night Raw and all things WWE at this point because there is a lot to get into. Not even well, I guess somewhat related to the show tonight, but also not so much, in terms of the ongoing COVID-19 situation for the company, for the world, and how those consequences continue to kind of affect the company here. Thank you all for already chipping in the comments. Nesha saying hello, Richard as well, and Jason Levy saying hey from Canada. Hello, Jason. Thank you for joining us tonight. But yeah, so this is definitely one of those shows where some news before the show here affected my mindset kind of going into the show. And not just saying she's sick of COVID. I mean, yes, this was definitely, as I said, one of those shows where some of the bigger picture things may have influenced, again, at least my overall enjoyment of the show, my overall thoughts on the show. Because just this past weekend, we had the news, and I should say reports at least, that Beyond WWE already reportedly experiencing some kind of COVID-19 outbreak. There were reports that this past weekend, not even reports. It was clear that several top stars missed 2 live shows on Sunday, just yesterday. Roman Reigns, Big E, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins. Also, Rollins specifically tweeted implying that he had tested positive, saying "Merry COVID Christmas" to him. And just a bunch of stars held out of action across the board. Absolutely not clear who tested positive, who might be exposed. It's very unclear. I will not speculate about the specifics in that regard, but we can safely say it is significantly affecting the company, the roster. Another report from Mike Johnson, the PW Insider, saying that the producers, the producers for Raw tonight definitely were affected as well, with their staff kind of cut in half in that sense. Another report from PW Insider saying that Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, Kevin Dunn, Michael Hayes, Adam Pearce, all absent from the show tonight. So John Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace, and Ed Koski, longtime WWE staffer, were running the show tonight. So just a very odd, very concerning situation. And on top of all of that, Monday afternoon, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reporting that WWE reportedly no longer requiring weekly COVID-19 testing, whereas they had been requiring twice weekly COVID-19 testing. Now, this comes at a time, as I was just laid out, WWE had been very much dealing with, is currently actively dealing with a COVID-19 outbreak. The world is dealing with this COVID-19 outbreak, the Omicron variant, all these things. The numbers are terrifying. I'm not even going to make any qualifiers on that one. That's just saying no testing business are off. I'm behind on a lot of comments. As I said, there's so much to dig into. I want to know about all your thoughts here. But my goodness, yeah, this just all this just simultaneous occurrences, really affected my kind of mood and my mindset heading into the show tonight. But yeah, we will talk about the COVID situation here. Obviously, I can't talk about the show tonight without talking about it. DJ pointing out, tonight you had Becky Lynch not on the show, Seth Rollins not on the show, Liv Morgan on the show, Bobby Lashley on the show. All of these performers in high-profile matches, championship matches on the day one pay-per-view this coming Saturday, just not even a week away. It is a very, very concerning situation, to say the least. Very scary. As a fan, obviously can't even imagine how these performers are feeling. Adam Pearce tweeting, I think earlier today, thanking the wrestlers or superstars and the staff, everyone involved, for continuing to kind of press on here in spite of this. Obviously, just incredibly challenging situation. We are entering yet another year here with the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is why I'm saying I'm very concerned or upset even by this new purported policy that they will not be requiring testing. We do not know We do not know if it's linked to any vaccine status for the people, for the roster, for anybody backstage. We don't know. The report was just that they changed policy. They're no longer requiring the twice weekly testing, and there's just no way to really know. Of course, national plan. It's not just wrestling. The NFL is definitely hit harder right now. She's saying that with the NFL or the Saints, I saw a headline about this earlier tonight. The Saints have 24 cases, and that goes to show you this is a very serious problem. I know it is a can of worms for sure. I know it's a controversial topic, but obviously I cannot talk about the show tonight and not talk about it. And I'm going to talk about this for a couple minutes before we even get into anything that happened on the show tonight, even though lots of, or I mean, some cool things happened. DJ pointing out something that I've been mulling over recently here. The Thunderdome could be coming back. That is pure prediction, speculation, not a firm report by any means. 99% of the time, the things I say on this show, on any of these post shows, are just me giving my 2 cents as an outside observer without any real knowledge about what's actually going on. I sit here, I write about things that happen. I'm not usually, like by and large, I pass along information that I acquire out from elsewhere and cite it properly. So I don't know if that's a plan. I don't know. But Steve Chambers saying prayers for everyone. If everyone's tested positive, everyone's been exposed. It is a very scary time. So obviously, needless to say, but also important to say, stay safe, everybody. That is, all I can really say here. Bit Milligan pointing out this was not like a 100% bare bones show. We had Kevin Owens tonight. He was in a high profile match on Saturday. He had a promo. He had a match. He was on the show. So it's not like everyone on day one was held off. I don't quite know the mindset in terms of who was held off, who was not. Again, as I said, Rollins kind of tweeted implying that he tested positive. Obviously, he's married to Becky Lynch. Goes to reason that they might decide to hold Becky out of off the show for precautionary reasons. I think that makes sense. That's just my reading of it, of that situation. Anthony Castellano wondering if I myself seatedly going back to no fans again. Boy, I don't know. I can't say that with any shred of confidence. On paper, I would say that would make sense from a safety standpoint in terms of these surging numbers right now. Brian Everett saying it's a scary time. But obviously no testing at all. Like that's, again, we don't know exactly the 100% specifics of this right now. As we know more, we Wrestling Collective will pass that along as soon as we can. But again, as a safety measure, yeah, I would say they should probably go back to no fans, Thunderdome, something. Nesha, I would agree. So Nesha's saying if they're not going to test the performers, there's no need to have the fans there because that's even more risk there. Obviously, there are a lot of complications and just general challenges, I guess, with having the Thunderdome. You got to get a location. You got to get you got to get a stadium. They had the Amway Center. They had Tropicana Field. So can they do it? I think so. Will they do it? And should is another matter entirely. Will they? I really don't know. It is a very fluid situation right now, as it has been. These things just it's always evolving, changing for a couple months. It seems everything was fine and getting better. Now here we are in another surge, a very scary time in wrestling, in the world itself here, and we are trying to press on as best we can. But yeah, this is also to say to the people who were not on the show tonight or at the live shows over the weekend or today. Roman Reigns was also not at the live show tonight in Orlando. There's no way to, like, some of it is out of sheer precaution in terms of you don't want to have them at the show just because if they are in a big match at the pay-per-view, it would stand to reason that they wouldn't want to put them at risk before a show like that. So no, obviously just across the board here, concerning, scary, alarming, but and this continues to evolve. Herman Carr is saying, now we're talking about perhaps some ramifications with laws and with just the way that the country itself is kind of dealing with this right now. Herman's saying in California, you must start wearing masks if you're vaccinated or not. I think that's becoming increasingly common here. Again, we get a whole can of worms. I'm trying to stick more, at least in the wrestling sense here. But obviously, yes, there's a whole nother line of conversation about, these things kind of, even obviously just in a more general sense here. Do want to point out, Ed Zahari is saying the wrestlers, the performers here are putting their lives on the line to entertain us, to do their jobs, to have to execute the mindset of the show must go on. Regardless of what you feel about that mindset, we have to credit the performers for doing that, for pressing on, for performing. Not all of them, and I would imagine for some of them it's a mutual decision of the performer and the company saying, okay, we don't want you to perform at this show. Let's reassess. Let's wait. Whatever it is. Again, Roman Reigns missed his show yesterday and tonight, and it's unclear exactly what the specifics are here. David Blakowski asking, he's planning on going to the holiday tour this Thursday in Buffalo. Do I still think it'll be on? I mean, it's Monday now. We saw that just earlier today, the show in, I think the Toronto show for the 29th, I believe, got rescheduled to March, and Canada they have their own travel restrictions, everything, so that's a little different. I don't know. I can't give a definitive answer on that one about whether I think that'll be on. We had the ran show at night, so it's not like they're automatically dropping everything and saying, oh, we're just gonna lock down again. I think as best they can, they're going to press on, challenges and all. They're gonna just keep on trucking. And again, we could talk about for better or worse. Could talk about the ramifications of that. But I think based on what we've seen, they have that's what they've done so far, and that's what I think they'll continue to do until they can't. Whether that's until they deem that the risk outweighs the reward, or as we saw with the onset of the pandemic in the first place, once the country itself here deems it requires that. If the country itself says, okay, you can't run live shows, there you go. So I know I missed some comments. I'm sorry about that. Obviously there's just so much to dig into here. Oh, the pandemic. I don't want to talk about the pandemic the whole time. I've already gone over 10 minutes about it now. But yeah, obviously it's concerning. It's scary as people, as fans, as fans of the people that are putting their lives on the line here on these shows. And now again, seeing this concerning purported policy of no testing. I just don't know. I share my thoughts. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I was very upset when I saw that because I think it was wrong. But again, we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. And I had to address this COVID-19 situation because it did affect the show when you had several top stars not in attendance whatsoever. Again, I mentioned, thanks to another comment, Rollins, Lynch, Bobby Lashley wasn't on the show. Liv Morgan wasn't on the show. Day one, we got a question about it. Day one, the pay-per-view is on Saturday, January 1st. That is this Saturday. So this was the go-home episode of Raw. So in a normal world, that would be the go-home show. In terms of you got some big last-minute hype, and we still did. We got a Vow renewal for Miz and Maurice. That had a big angle to close the show. Unofficial main event in that sense. That was fun. We'll talk about that. We got the finals of the RK Bronament now a couple weeks ago. That was scheduled for, I think, 2 weeks ago. And the Street Profits and or the Mysterios, WWE reported themselves, suffered some injuries of some sort. They kept it vague. And so that was unable to happen. That was postponed. The match happened tonight. And it was a very good match. Stephen Chambers, we'll start there. Stephen Chambers saying that he liked the match. It was fun. I liked the Street Profits a lot. I was tweeting about during the show. I've said it, I feel like, on this show, on the SmackDown show, anytime I talk about him, I say Montez Ford, so talented. My gosh, this man blows me away. And I always say that, and it always sounds like I'm indirectly knocking Angelo Dawkins. I don't mean to. Angelo Dawkins has grown a lot. I think they're a great team. But Montez Ford, he has it. As the saying goes, whatever it is, he has it. His frog splash is amazing. My gosh, this man, one day, he should be a future main eventer. If Montez Ford is not at least like a bona fide main event player, let's say 1 year from now, roughly, maybe 2 years if we want to be really generous, if he doesn't quickly take some strides here in terms of booking, that is a very clear sign something is very wrong with the WWE system. Not trying to be dramatic, but Montez Ford, so talented. Brian Everett saying he's a stud, a future single star. Couldn't agree more. Montez Ford, my gosh. So we saw that all match long, and the Street Profits won. They beat the Mysterios. It was a very good match. One small knock on it was that right around draft time, they had the Street Profits come to Raw. They ran RK Bro versus Street Profits. So this match doesn't feel as special as it could be, in the sense that we've seen it. It's not the kind of thing that they ran into the ground. They didn't do it week after week or anything. But, if always that thought of, the proverbial long-term booking, it's like, all right, if you're going to do that, you kind of would hope they kind of hold that off. Nonetheless, I can't complain too much. I think that we saw that on TV like once, maybe some multi-man tag team matches otherwise, but it's a fairly fresh matchup. That will be this Saturday. Quick turnaround there. So not really a lot of storyline build. We had a couple weeks where they were kind of feuding a little bit. I think that was right around Crown Jewel or so. Ever since then, RK Bro's been feuding with Alpha Academy. We'll talk about that one as well. Because that played out tonight additionally. But I think this will be a very fun match. I'm going to kind of preview day one as we go here. I would fully expect RK Bro to win. John and I talk about it all the time. Sidebar, John, I meant to say being a show and I got carried away right away. John still feeling under the weather, so he's not able to join us. If you were wondering, not sure if I mentioned that or not. Time is a weird thing right now. If I didn't mention, yes, John is still under the weather. We hope that he'll join us Tuesday night here for NXT. That's not definite. Still feeling under the weather, so it's very much a day-by-day kind of thing. As soon as he's up to it, he'll be back, and we'll go from there. But I'm here to talk about Raw and all things WWE, and I appreciate you writing it out with me. Another sidebar, DJ Cassier saying hashtag RIP Marcus Crane, former Game Changer wrestling star. This one definitely hit the wrestling world today. Only 3 years old. Someone in the comments a little bit up said that it was due to a brain injury. Now, just point out that she asked earlier about him. If I answered that already, I'm sorry for being redundant. If not, I'm sorry that it got away from me. John under the weather. Hopefully he'll be back ASAP. Best wishes to John on that one. Bentley Logan also sharing his best regards as well. We thank you for that bit. And so we have the Street Profits and RK Bro on Saturday. That's going to be a great match. We have one comment here saying that the tag team match stole the show your night from Brian Everett. Couldn't agree more. Nessa thinks she loves the Street Profits. Would agree. I think they're a great team. This will be a very good match. Nessa thinks she's glad the Street Profits won. Yeah, like I said, I think that this was on paper the better match in the sense that I just think the Street Profits are that good. For a little part of me thought that it'd be fun to see the Mysterios win. They were the first father-son tag team to win the gold in WWE history. Why not kind of double down on that and have them win both sets of the main roster tag titles? And maybe they still will. There was a report a while ago that the Mysterios will break up at some point soon. And someone had brought that up a minute ago, saying that they would expect to see that kind of come to fruition now. Steven saying hopefully a breakup at or near the Royal Rumble. John and I have talked about it. I think the tag team division is lacking right now, but that doesn't mean they can't do it. Obviously, last week we saw AJ Styles and almost split up. We'll talk about them a little bit here tonight as well. But yeah, I thought it was kind of one of those things where I'd be pretty happy either way, but I was also happy to see the Street Profits win. I think it'd be a very good match, and I would fully think that the RK Bro is going to win. John and I have been talking about it for weeks now. I think RK Bro, we might see some real kind of chips in the foundation of that team around the Rumble, maybe an accidental elimination from Riddle to Randy Orton. Some clear opportunity for potential conflict there. Whether it's a full-on split or not remains to be seen. But no, good match, and I'm sure it'll be it'll be another great match on Saturday when the titles are on the line. So no complaints here. Again, especially with the Street Profits. Yeah, we saw the match once in October. I can't complain with that. It's like at some point when you don't have that depth to do a lot of different matches in the tag division, I can't complain too much of that one, but there you go. And with the Mysterios, they've been getting along recently, so I would be a little surprised to see, them split up or anything right now. Maybe soon. John and I have been talking about it. It's like you wouldn't really expect to see them break up. Styles and Omos, the Mysterios, and RK Bro in too short of a stretch of time. They could draw it out. If that means maybe two of those teams split up on the road to WrestleMania. It's already just shy of January 1 here, so that those questions are here kind of on the forefront. It's like, hey, who's going to split up? Because obviously some of these definitely are WrestleMania quality matches. Orton and Riddle, 100%. That is a nice classic example of a long-term story that gets the time it deserves, and they have a nice run, and they eventually split up. That's the kind of stuff that I lived for when I was a kid as a fan back in the day. So that'd be cool, and I like to see that. If it's Mysterios, I think that's another one, father-son kind of thing, pretty much writes itself. And we've already seen Styles and Omos, so I'm not quite sure if we're going to see all three or not, but definitely some interesting times here in the tag division. And speaking of which, and that's just pointing out, yes, they did tease for a second RK Bro splitting up here tonight. We had RK Bro opening the show here talking about Christmas and New Year's and talking about Randy saying that the only way he'll have a happy New Year is if he beat Otis tonight, and the only way that they as a duo will have a happy New Year is if they retain the titles at day one. At that point, they know against who. But now we know it'll be the Street Profits. Riddle, I'm looking at my notes here. Not a whole lot to write. Okay, so Riddle was wearing a party hat. He had a Christmas card, all these things. Typical Riddle stuff. He's talking about Vipering turning into a Viper because Randy Orton, ha ha ha. So classic Riddle stuff. Alpha Academy interrupts, like I said a minute ago. We've seen Alpha Academy feuding with RK Bro for a couple weeks, kind of, on the side a little bit during this RK Bro stuff. Chad Gable still bragging about his master's degree, bragging about his 4.0 GPO. I think that's cool. That he posted about that on Twitter, and they're using that for the storyline. I like that. It's pretty fun. It's kind of like a old school heel kind of thing of bragging about being smart. He called Riddle an ignoramus. Riddle fired back, saying he's of a higher education. Obviously, if you are familiar with Riddle, you know that he was referring to maybe something not having to deal with book smarts there, but another good, more TV time for Alpha Academy, definitely a good thing. Stephen Chambers saying the Alpha Academy future tag team champions. Again, as we're saying, they've got all these tag teams very clearly on the verge or on the road to Splitsville. So in a way, it's almost like a battle of attrition, where it's like if Alpha Academy is the last tag team standing in that sense, they almost gonna have to be future tag team champions. So I can't disagree, and they're getting TV time now. They're pretty much featured acts on Raw, kind of week by week here. Now unfortunately, we had a nice fun, I think this weekend, last week, 2 week stretch of Otis being the man that Orton couldn't RKO. That came doing that tonight. Orton did RKO him and beat Otis. Something about this has just cracked me up. I mean, Otis, I will always think of him as the guy of heavy machinery saying "Tuck and I'm coming" and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. Obviously, he's been repackaged as the monster with Chad Gable. Just I will always see him that way because I love that run from him so much. So just the thought of that Otis facing Randy Orton tonight, even obviously it wasn't that Otis, just that thought in my mind. I don't know. I had fun with it. It was fun. It seemed kind of funny to me. Good match. I like Otis. Again, we've talked about it for a while now. I think he's doing the best he can with this gimmick here as kind of the brawn to Gable's brain. Again, interesting to have this matchup with Randy Orton of all people. DJ pointing out, yes, that the Otis of the past I was just talking to. Obviously had that classic romance with Mandy Rose. A high point of WWE television in 2020 for me. If you disagree, that's fine. I know it was a little bit divisive there, but I thought that storyline was great, and I don't think I got the payoff it deserved. Brian Evers saying he misses the old Otis as well. Glad to see I'm not alone on some of these takes I'm spitting out here. But so we had 2 matches in this kind of feud here for the both tag teams. Orton and Randy Orton and Otis was fun, but Gable and Riddle was a very, very good match. 2 of the best kind of in-ring workers, if you will, in WWE doing their thing. Riddle wins, very good match. Very happy to see Gable getting some TV time. Good to see Riddle getting another win. Riddle's rolling. So again, for stuff like this, you kind of look forward to WrestleMania. It's kind of natural to do so. Pretty easily see, Riddle feuding with, maybe beating Randy Orton in WrestleMania, and kind of really cementing himself as a top star in no time. So very good match. These were at the very beginning of the show here. No complaints. You can't really complain about that one. But good rivalry. And even though they both lost, I think either one could have benefited from winning. But at the end of the day, Alpha Academy was on TV yet again. So they're rolling here. Getting a couple comments about Reggie and Dana Brooke here, so we'll keep rolling here. Moving on to that. So yes, obviously, as I was saying, as being a beginning of the show, if I didn't explicitly say it, Raw was short-handed, where some of the beyond, not even just the top stars, but just maybe even more people than we realized were not at the show. So they had to really kind of lean into some other, maybe people they wouldn't necessarily feature otherwise. In the first hour of the show, usually when they can't, more often than not, kind of feature more of the, I don't know, the main eventers, if you will, or top stars, if you will, whatever you want to say. Whereas tonight, they were shorthanded. So in the first hour, no knock on the talent involved, but we had a mixed tag team match between Reggie and Dana Brooke against R-Truth and Tamina during the first hour. So that kind of went to show you, like, okay, we're working with, we're not working full capacity here, and that's not their fault. If the roster is limited here. Now, I think it was more creative Raw. Again, we'll get into some of the ways that was true tonight. It was a more creative, more resourceful Raw here. And we saw that with this mixed tag team match. DJ pointed out that what bugged him about it was the booking of this tag team match. Why put Truth, a babyface, with Tamina, a heel, against Dana Brooke and Reggie? And now, DJ, my friend, you know what I say to that? It's the classic question of WWE programming these days. Could they coexist? Now, I don't think they actually said it. Oddly enough, they love to rub it in. I don't think they said it for this one. But I felt this was, kind of the clear underlying motive, on top of just the mere fact that they were short-staffed, short-handed, and then they needed something. And these two teams, or this quartet, if you will, have been kind of interacting here with each other in the 24/7 scene. Yeah, I mean, it was weird, but this is a weird Raw. This for me, it took me back to the beginning of the pandemic era, where you had more video packages, where you had less than optimal roster in terms of people not being there and people either testing positive or being held out for exposure or cautionary reasons. So yeah, I mean, it was weird. It wasn't by the best part of the show by any means. Nanda pointing out that Truth and Tamina were the oddball couple just for a night. So Reggie did pin R-Truth. Tamina got mad at Truth after the match. So no, they could not coexist. Nanda pointing out, speaking of something being odd, Dana still has the 24/7 title. That's odd, but good for her. She's still rolling, still going strong as the 24/7 champion. Maybe they'll do some kind of tape segment where she loses it at like a New Year's Eve party or something. I don't know. If they've been doing some holiday themed things with this, so maybe we'll see that. But she's had the title for a couple weeks now, so good on her. Keep on rolling. DJ again with the question about this tag team match, saying they could have used Akira Tozawa. I mean, yeah, but for all we know, Akira, from what I recall, Akira wasn't on the show, so maybe he was held out for any number of reasons here. Can't really speculate on that one. It's just he wasn't. They didn't use him. At the very least, that was true. But National pointing out or predicting that Reggie will turn on Dana. Yeah, I mean, I think that the real end goal for Reggie is to kind of win Dana's trust by being a friend and turning on her to get the title back. That would actually make sense. So sometimes the most predictable thing is the best thing. So can't complain too much about that one, but when that happens, I don't know. Again, usually these 24/7 reigns, by and large, aren't that long, so maybe that will be sooner rather than later here. But another question from Eddie, wondering where Finn Balor and Austin Theory are. They are scheduled to have a match tonight, but again, they're shorthanded. But one or both guys were not at the show or were held out of action. So that's all I can really say. I haven't heard any official word on exactly who was there, who was not. Again, just report that they had to rewrite the show, even though that match was was advertised last week. They had to kind of pivot and adapt and do the best they could here. Nesha, I'm with you. Nesha saying she wants R-Truth to get his baby back. I have to imagine he will. I think he's at like 52 title reigns right now, something right around there. So DJ bringing up a comment about Nikki ASH and the tag titles. I will talk about that, but Steven Chambers bringing up what is arguably the best or worst part of WWE RAW right now, the question, when is Veer debuting on Raw? Now, folks, I wish so badly this show was sponsored by Blue Chew, because there's a comedic gold mine just waiting there, right, like on my fingertips, with this Veer stuff. Because if you didn't know, Veer is coming to Raw. Veer is coming to Raw. Veer is coming to Raw every single week. Veer can't stop coming. I just, folks. Oh boy, I see. I don't want to get too out there for you, but if you want, just go on Twitter. It's a beautiful thing. The combative, let's say, wrestling Twitter verse has united in this humor about Veer's debut. Our own Bill Pritchard tweeted that Santa came, winter came, and Veer is still coming. Oh my gosh! Now, okay, it's there. There's a clear divide about, okay, no one in their right mind is excited about Veer debuting on Raw right now. Okay, they have run the exact same, or okay, pretty much the exact same vignette or teaser for Veer's debut, which has already happened. Eddie pointing out Veer already showed up. Veer already came on main event. This week he faced Shelton Benjamin, and a spoiler alert for you, he faced Shelton Benjamin. I think he faced, I don't remember exactly who, but it was somebody else. I think last week's main event. So Veer already came. Veer has come, but he's still coming. Oh man, I don't want to get too far out there, but it's hilarious. There's just so much comedic gold here. Go on Twitter if you haven't seen some of the stuff yet. People are having some fun with it, and it's a grand old time. With Raw these days, folks, you have to just find stuff that makes it fun. And this is, I'm not doing it justice because I don't want to, I try to maintain some semblance of professionalism here, but my gosh, just go on Twitter, look up some of this Veer discourse or the memes. Now, it is worth pointing out, they WWE pretty clearly stole or borrowed, if you want to be generous, from AEW's Send Hook thing, because I think the WWE social, one of the social media pages said, send Veer, even though Veer is still coming. Veer can't stop coming. Veer is always coming. They're all here. My gosh, folks. Oh my gosh, it is just so good. It's so good. Now, it was worth pointing out that Mike Johnson of PW Insider noted that Veer was spotted in Detroit, where Raw was tonight. He was on the main event tapings, but he was still not on the show. So, folks, Veer is coming. One of these days, Veer will come. I could keep going. I don't want to be a dead horse. It's just so much fun. It is just so much fun. I have the humor sometimes of a 5-year-old. I am, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. Like, there's some things that I just find are hilarious. There was one thing I remember months ago on NXT, back when it was still the Black and Gold brand that I love so much, where Austin Theory joked about, there's something. He had a pretty juvenile joke, and I thought it was pretty funny. Like, every once in a while, something just strikes me just the right way. And, it just gets me. And with Raw especially, you have to just lean on those things that are fun and that are funny and that make the show easier to get through. Because if you don't, especially for someone like me who is sitting here at a desk every single Monday watching all 3 hours, you got to just focus on those things. Otherwise, it's going to stop being fun real quick altogether. So that's just saying Veer will still be coming 6 months from now. I'm not going to say it. Oh, boy. Oh, Nestor, you almost got me there. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, my gosh. It's fun. I don't want to get, I'm going to stop before I go too far here. But yes. Thank you, DJ. Let's talk about something else here, because I've had my fill. I've had my fun. So if you remember, when Hit Row got drafted briefly to SmackDown, it was clearly enacted on NXT. I was not a big fan of. So that I wasn't exactly thrilled to see them get drafted. I was baffled when they got released very quickly, because I could clearly see their popularity, even though I didn't exactly care for them myself. I could see they were over. People liked them. People bought the merch. They were very buzzworthy and over, for lack of a better word. So Grayson Waller showing up on Raw tonight. Yes, they were shorthanded. Yes, they being WWE itself. So Nestor pointed out earlier, it was a very creative episode of Raw. So it wasn't all that surprising to see them bring someone up from NXT, especially, we saw last week, AJ Styles went down to NXT, had some words with Grayson Waller. So here tonight on Raw, Grayson Waller was in the crowd, having his sign of the Grayson Waller effect. AJ Styles giving a promo. Now, as I said a minute ago, WWE had to pivot. AJ was scheduled to face Almost 1 week after they were scheduled to have the match was scheduled for the show after they broke up last week, but the match was rescheduled. But during the show, again, I've cited him several times. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported that that Almost was the show, and then he got sent home. So I'm not sure what happened there. I don't really get that, in terms of if he was there, what happened. He was scheduled for the show. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to actually double check on that real quick. I don't want to be sharing things that aren't true, but as far as I saw, Almost was at the show. He was in Detroit and he was sent home. He left Detroit, even though, so he's not backstage, but he went home. And we don't know why or anything about it. I was a little surprised. They had Wally here. He confirmed AJ Styles. He said that he wants to take AJ Styles' spot. Styles said, "You're not even star yet." Styles kind of buried in next NXT 2.0. Not the best look for someone that's not the biggest fan of NXT 2.0, the 2.0 era, if you will. I didn't mind that so much, especially not the biggest fan of Grayson Waller being kind of like rocketed to the top here as the guy that took Johnny Gargano out. So no, we're supposed to have AJ versus Almost wasn't there. So there is twice tonight, particularly that I could think of. They had two kind of transitions to a commercial break where it was like this superstar live just for mic time. So they had AJ Styles live, even though we thought we were going to get AJ Styles versus Almost. So right there, I was like, all right, probably not going to get Almost here. So AJ cuts a promo saying he's going to kick Almost's teeth down his throat. Got to pay your dues. Very much your typical stuff. And then we see while we're in the crowd, they go back and forth. And then Apollo Crews comes out with Commander Aziz. This was very confusing because after a brief promo, Commander Aziz got a little time on the mic. He challenged AJ Styles to a match, but then we get a commercial. They come back, and then Apollo Crews is in the match. So got that match there. Very good match. Apollo's great. AJ is phenomenal. Pun intended. Very good match. AJ, one of those wrestlers in the world. Apollo's great. It's great. But that was confusing, and I also thought, well, if you're going to have Grayson there, you could say that kind of be rushing it. I just thought it could kind of be a good spot to have Waller have a match on Raw and see what he could do if you're going to be selling him so much like this, in terms of pushing him like this top star. Ness just saying she liked Grayson Waller. She hated they turned him heel. Yeah, I mean, they've turned him. Turn him heel doesn't do it justice. They turned him heel and just cranked it up. I mean, the man killed, in terms of the NXT character. He took out the heart and soul of NXT, Johnny Gargano, and just uber heat. Everyone just hates this character for doing that. And then even on Raw, the crowd was booing the heck out of this guy. It's a little hard to tell if that's go away heat or actual heat for as a heel. Maybe a little bit of both. Nando's saying that he finds Grayson a little boring. Yeah, I mean, like I said, not the biggest fan of him. More so, I'm just more biased. I love Johnny Gargano as a performer, so I'm more looking at I'm having a hard time getting behind what this guy's doing. In that sense, I sometimes have a hard line of fan versus critic, I guess, and I'm biased in that way. But boy, oh boy. So no, I think this was just kind of a one-off of Waller kind of his number being called a next man up kind of thing. I don't see this really going into next week or beyond unless this situation with being shorthanded continues, which it very well might. I don't know. If that's the case, maybe we'll see Waller face AJ. Now, predicting that we could see Waller and AJ team up. I more think this is going to be a feud, and that AJ will be back as a single star because he's been in this tag team for the better part of a year now, dating back to last April, maybe a little longer. But I thought it was good for Waller to get on Raw here to kind of to get in front of the Raw audience compared to NXT. Good for him. I thought he did fine in that sense. Cut a promo, nothing groundbreaking, but it's not like he had a bad promo or anything. I was fine. Again, my any criticism I have is more just like, oh, this guy got rid of Johnny Gargano, and I just can't, as a fan in that sense, I'm a little, maybe a little naive in that sense. That little kind of part of me, it's like, I know it's it's business. Gargano left. That was the angle. I know all that stuff. I'm saying as a fan, I'm like, all right, this guy got rid of Gargano. I'm like, let's boo. I don't know. Obviously, we can talk about NXT. We're going to be talking all about NXT tomorrow. We're talking about Braun Breaker maybe beating Ciampa, maybe Waller challenging for the title. We'll be talking about that over on the NXT side of things here as well. Not to point out, maybe he'll recruit a new rookie with Styles and Waller kind of being the sequel to Styles and Omos. Maybe. But again, I really think that there's just so much potential to have AJ go back as a single star, maybe feuding with Edge, maybe feuding with anybody. Big E, I want to see that match. They kind of tease that back at Extreme Rules, and I'd love to see that. A lot of options for AJ Styles on Raw. I think his best use might be as a single star here. But I think it's great either way. Now, another thing, I had my fun with the Veer stuff. The Waller thing was definitely another big one. Other than the vow renewal, two more things here that really kind of stood out to me. One of them being DJ pointing out that Kevin Owens beat Cedric Alexander. Now, before the match here, Kevin Owens had a promo. This was the second of the two things I can remember that they had, this superstar live after the commercial. So they had Kevin Owens live coming back from that commercial. Just giving him mic time, which is not a bad thing. And obviously, I don't remember if we talked about this last week or not. I would assume we did. I'm not exactly sure when the news broke, but in case we didn't, yes, Kevin Owens has re-signed with WWE. He has confirmed himself. He's staying a multi-year deal. So all the weeks of us assuming that Kevin Owens will be gone come, a month from now, roughly, out the window. Kevin Owens is Team WWE for the next several years. So everything that we thought we could predict about the day one match, not out the window, but is definitely kind of thrown that for a loop in terms of like, okay, I very much was like, all right, Kevin Owens pretty much out the door. You can pretty much assume he's gonna, not only will he not win at day one, he will very, very likely get pinned because he's leaving. No, Kevin Owens is not leaving. So now Brian Everett beat me to the punch saying he's hoping Owens is the next WWE champion. So I tweeted about it during the show. I'm like, Owens is staying. There's something to be said for having Kevin Owens win the title at day one. Big E's had a good reign. Big E had a great promo tonight from via satellite, I guess, a taped video promo about being the champion, about becoming a top star the right way. I thought it was very, very good, passionate promo from Big E. I am a big fan of Big E. I've been singing the man's praises pretty much every show here, dating back to when I started the SmackDown show last fall, just before he even went on this current run, I was hoping he'd be where he is now, months and months before it even happened. I'm so glad that he is. But now I think, okay, Owens has resigned. We can't assume that he's going to lose, let alone get pinned. Could he win? And there's something compelling about that, with Eddie saying, Owens could be the champion, could win the champion on this Saturday as like a reward of sorts for resigning, because everyone and their brother practically assumed Owens would leave when his contract expired in January. The writing was on the wall. Owens literally teased himself in tweets. Every single report, every sign, every rumor, every fan speculation that didn't really have any backing, but the narrative was Owens is leaving. Let's brace for it, get ready for it, enjoy this run with Kevin Owens, and get ready. He's leaving, and cheers while we have him. And instead, he is here, and it's great. Good for him. Doing it for his family, doing it for himself. Cool. Good for him. And now he's staying. Why not? He was the Universal Champion. He's not been the WWE Champion, so I don't know. There's just something compelling about that. I think he deserves it first and foremost. Now, I think that there is definitely some cause to say, okay, hey, let's reward this guy, because again, he had every reason on paper to go to AEW. His friends are there. He'd presumably have more creative freedom. He presumably, that's the biggest thing, really. And he'd be one of the cool kids, if you will, right? I think I'm fair in saying that, and I don't want to get derailed into all the WWE AEW stuff that as a whole can of worms, and we don't have to go there. But I'm just saying, I think there's something to be said for that, where it's like he had every reason to go, and he chose to stay. So now we're going into day one with the previous narrative being that, oh, there's no way Kevin's going to win. But now, he even said tonight, he's hatched this master plan. Perhaps part of it behind the scenes was working us all into a shoot about his contract status or his odds of resigning. Now he's saying, I just think there's something said for that. No knock on Biggie whatsoever, but that sets up a natural, comeback story of like, oh, maybe he pins Seth Rollins or whatever happens. Maybe Owens wins. I think there's something pretty cool about that. I think it deserves it. I think it could set up, even though we've already been seeing Owens Biggie feud for about 2 months now. Yeah, not great. But maybe we spin off and do more of a Biggie Rollins feud in the short term. Give Owens someone else to do if he wins. They have options. But I think there's something there. Do I think it's going to happen? Not necessarily. No. I think the smart money is on Biggie retaining. Assuming now, okay, I got some major corrections on Twitter tonight when I tweeted. Okay, we had Owens at a promo tonight. We had Biggie's video promo. We had Seth Rollins at the video promo. Lashley was not there, and he did not have a video promo, but MVP spoke on his behalf during a promo on the show. So I tweeted, oh, by all appearances, it looks like WWE is going with the scheduled day one card, kind of as planned, despite the COVID situation. They're all systems go, pushing on here. I got helpfully reminded by several people on Twitter that no, they even as recent as SummerSlam, they reported that WWE operated till the day of the show as if it would be Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the title, and said Sasha was 12th from show last minute, Becky Lynch returned, the rest is history, blah blah blah, and also Roman Reigns for WrestleMania 36 at the outset of the pandemic era, the onset of the pandemic era. He was also pulled from the show fairly last minute, and they had to adjust. So yes, I was wrong on that one. Okay, it is entirely possible that any of these matches, even if they were hyped up tonight, and they were, that they could easily be changed the day of Saturday, and that is 100% a possibility. I overlooked that. Sometimes you just kind of like get lost in the moment of like, oh, they're doing the video promos and cool, and so I just kind of made that assumption. I misspoke. I admit that. I apologize. I just when you cover wrestling, pretty much every night of the week, you overlook some of these things. So I was off on that one. So at this point, it seems like they're operating business as usual. The card is what it is, and that's what we're going to get. But of course, there's always the modifier card subject to change. Now, I mentioned earlier, and Nash reminding us here, Seth tweeted that he has COVID. He tweeted Merry COVID Christmas to me, very seemingly implying that, yes, he has COVID. That was on Sunday. Don't exactly know when he tested positive, if that was Sunday or Saturday. I don't know. When we know more, we will let you know. But that would seem to, he was not at the show tonight. He had a sent-in video message. So the new CDC guidelines have cut back the time you need to quarantine if you've tested positive and or been exposed. So I don't quite know. I saw someone tweet, a reliable source tweet during the show. In theory, based on those guidelines, Rollins would be able to make the show. But I don't know. Could he opt to sit out of the show for cautionary reasons because he has a baby at home? Yes. That is always a possibility. Any one of these performers, any given day, could make the 100% valid decision of, oh, hey, I have a family. I want them to be safe. So I'm not going to go out here in this very, very, very risky situation and wrestle and be in close contact with people that, for all I know, could have COVID and I not know it because the company reportedly is not requiring COVID testing every week. That is 100% a valid decision. So I don't know. We could very easily be here on the day one post show. The show's on Saturday. I will probably do the show on Sunday. Saturday is one of my days off, and I need those days just to get away. So I'll probably do the day after day one post show on Sunday. Hope you'll join me. But we could be here on that show talking about how some of these performers were not at the show on Saturday. And there's just no way to know. They could decide that very day. Someone else could test positive that very day. Someone else could test positive on Friday. You just don't know what could happen. Again, I said it earlier in the show. This is a very fluid, unpredictable time. Eddie, thank you for specifically pointing out. Yes, the CDC cut back to 10. I think I saw they cut back to 10 days, but then it was 5 days for that quarantine time. So I just don't know. Yes, even on paper, if he quarantines and he can safely, air quotes on that one, safely compete at the show on Saturday, and he and or anyone else could easily say, okay, I'm not comfortable with that. Because for me, I'll admit it, I've said it several times before in the show, I'm an anxious person. Even with that updated guideline, I look at that and I'm like, if I were in that situation, I would probably add a day, 2 days, 3 days to that to make sure, with beyond a shadow of doubt, that I was 100% safe. Especially again in the situation where they're no longer requiring testing reportedly, so I would have no way of knowing if the person I am literally rubbing up against in the ring has COVID. Like that it seems not. I'm not criticizing the CDC. I'm saying like with this situation, that is a thing we have to consider. So again, a whole other can of worms. There's just no way to know. We're talking about Seth Rollins and the Fatal 4-Way. Bobby Lashley was also on the show. Also, didn't mention it. Shout out to Kevin Owens. Line of the night. He said, my mother says I'm special. Kevin Owens, chef's kiss. You're a treasure. You're a gentleman and a scholar. We love you. I am glad that he stayed in that sense. I've become a huge fan of AEW, so I would have loved to see what Kevin Steen could do there. But as a WWE fan, I am very glad Kevin was saying. I'm very glad what he could do if he wins the title day one. Someone else said, if he wins the Rumble, who knows, if he gets the high profile match he deserves at WrestleMania against Edge or AJ Styles, who even knows at this point? Who knows? So, I think that's great. Chambers saying Owens better as a heel. He's thriving as a heel. He's doing great as a heel. And he just turned heel in November. So in theory, we will ride this one out here for a couple months. Presumably, he'll be feuding with the face heading into WrestleMania. Who that is, I don't know. We'll wait and see on that one. But speaking briefly, we're talking about Seth Rollins, and I mentioned earlier, but yes, Rollins implied that he tested positive. Nash pointing out they are married. So if Seth tests positive, it stands to reason that Becky either could have tested positive or she is being held out for that clear exposure. So again, she has her women's title match here on day one. She's facing Liv Morgan. Little weird thing. They had the ring announcer introduce a lengthy video package, 3-minute video package for this feud, which just reminded me that I didn't really care for. I haven't really been caring for this feud, and I've become a little increasingly clear about that. I was a little kind of, reluctant to say that at first because people were all aboard the Liv Morgan train, and I am all aboard the Liv Morgan train. I think she's great. She's so talented, but again, not doing so great with these promos. Not a big fan of it in terms of the material she's being given, and that kind of shined in this video package, which is literally made up of all the promos. So Liv and Becky were not on the show tonight. So again, that goes to show that day one, there's just no way to know. I don't know if Becky's gonna be there. I don't know if Liv's gonna be there. We just don't know. We will hear us and provide more details as they become available. Obviously, we always wait to as much as we can until details are verified and fairly solid. We never hope to speculate or spread uncertain information or rumors or anything like that. We try to be a reliable source for you all. That is always our objective. So for now, it is very much a vague. This person was not on the show. What that means for day one, I don't know. I wish I could tell you more, but we simply can't because again, it's a very unpredictable thing. So with that, 2 more things to wrap up here. We're already we're going late, but we got 2 more things because they are noteworthy. Damian Priest defended the United States title against Dolph Ziggler tonight. This came after I think Priest got DQ'd against Bobby Roode 1 week or something. He got DQ'd against Ziggler in the championship contenders match. So the title is on the line tonight, and Priest cut backstage promo before the match. And you know what he said? He said last week he lost control. His inner demon came out. His inner Damien came out. And folks, it was at that point that I was like, my gosh, this Damian Priest character is not good. It is not good. I've been saying that since they've gone on this whole like heaven and hell thing, multi-personality thing. I don't really know what they're going for. But it's very clearly some kind of like angel and demon thing, and that was 100% drilled in. They had his entrance tonight. I'm not sure if this specific thing was new, but his entrance graphic, his nameplate, if you will, on the video screen, it was Damien in this like demonic kind of thing, and Priest in an angelic kind of thing. Nesha, yes, I really like Priest the way he was. Nesha saying that she liked Priest the way he was there, but this ain't it. This is not it. Mike, the Priest was one of the best parts of Raw. This hot baby face rising right to the top. He was on a run, on a roll. A guy that I thought could kind of potentially win the Rumble. Someone asked during the show. I think Nando asked my dark horse of the Rumble. You asked me 2 months ago. I would have said Damian Priest. You asked me now. I would hope not. Not this Damian Priest. Dark horse. If Riddle counts, I would say him. That'd be a little off the wall, a little bit. Nesha saying doesn't like the change, and Brian also, speaking of change, does not like he misses Priest's old music. I miss Priest's old music too. I thought that was great. New one, not so much. Steam Chambers also not digging this version of Damian Priest. So clearly, we are not digging Damian Priest right now, and that's a shame because he's so talented. So yet again, he got DQ'd here. So there you go. Yeah. And this goes to show that they will likely continue this. They will likely do a no DQ match because someone tweeted during the show like, "Oh, Priest is unstoppable. Who will anyone ever take the title from it?" And I jokingly said, "No, let's keep getting DQ'd. No, he'll keep the title. For who even knows how long." So maybe we'll do a no DQ match. Maybe at day one. DJ pointed out what if they do this no DQ match? Maybe Dolph will win. With this kind of like aggressive side Priest has been showing, the clear kind of at least path forward to a heel turn is there. We've been expecting it there for a while. DJ saying that's been pretty apparent. So yeah, I mean I think that's a pretty safe prediction in a general sense. If it's at day one against Ziggler, I don't know. That match hasn't been confirmed as far as I know. I'm looking right now just to see if I missed anything during the show. Not that I see, but definitely possible. I think that'll make sense. I would imagine we're going to see it at some point, but no, it's just so weird. Like, and he's wearing more like eye makeup, and he kind of like snaps. And Stephen Chambers nicely summing up, saying yes, Priest is a good talent, but doesn't like him as a psychopath kind of gimmick here, or as I said, kind of this like multi-personality thing. If that's the case, if they're going for like a multi-personality thing, that's not great, because obviously that's a serious, like, that's a thing that the people deal with, and doing it in this kind of like, it's not comedic, but it's like doing it for the sake of storyline isn't great. But maybe it's more of a heaven and hell thing. Again, he said his inner Damien came out. Folks, it's just saying it. And that's why, to circle back to it, that's why you get something like Veer, how Veer can't stop coming to Raw. That I hone on that, and I cling to it, because like you need to focus on the fun stuff. And speaking of fun stuff, Eric Bischoff was on the show tonight. A very unexpected surprise. I didn't see this one coming. The sidebar, Eddie wondering where Finn Balor, Austin Theory were. I thought I mentioned this earlier. They were supposed to have a match tonight. They were held out of action. As far as, again, just any number of talents were not on the show. They're held out of precautionary reasons. Some of them may have tested positive. We don't know who. I'm not going to speculate on who's who in terms of testing positive or precaution. But all I can say, Eddie, is that they were not on the show. That's all we can really say, because they were shorthanded, and that's all there really is to it. So Eric Bischoff was on the show because they announced prior, I think it was yesterday, or maybe even Saturday, that Friday, I don't even know. They announced at some point leading into the show here that Miz and Maurice will be renewing their vows as part of the build to Miz's match with Edge at day one. And you knew they had to do something kind of fun here. And what they do, they brought in Eric Bischoff, the former president of WCW, WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff. Of course, if you remember, Eric Bischoff officiated the infamous Billy and Chuck wedding back in 2002. So of course, yeah, it makes sense to have him with this wedding. I think that was a kind of a fun callback. Nobody saw it. I didn't see it coming. I was like, oh, hey, it's Eric Bischoff. Like, what's he doing here? And then, of course, you kind of take a moment. You're like, oh, he has that connection. Makes sense. Cool. Bischoff, living legend in the wrestling business. Sure, he's a divisive figure. I'm a big fan of his 83 Weeks podcast, Conrad Thompson. Looking back at his career of WCW and everything, I think that's fun. This is a guy that just 2 years ago was kind of he was the executive director of SmackDown. That didn't last very long, but he's still in WWE's good graces. He had a good run with WWE after WCW, so he's been a WWE character for some time now, and so I thought that made sense. It was fun. So he was the guy that The Miz brought in to officiate the renewal of his vows. I thought that Miz and Maurice did a great job of this. This was the quote unquote main event of the show. That was fun. Bischoff had a great line that the wrestling industry, the wrestling world gives weddings the respect they deserve. And obviously, other than the wonderful Index wedding that I love so much from NXT, we all know that weddings never go according to plan in wrestling, particularly WWE. So you could kind of expect something was going to go wrong here. Very cool to see Eric Bischoff. Brian saying it was a fun surprise. Nasha saying may have been a ratings ploy. Yeah, probably. Especially on a show without Biggie in person, without any number of these other top stars here. DJ saying that Bischoff needs to color his hair. I mean, hey, you can't fault the guy on that one. I think he rocks that nice kind of silvery look. Good for him. Of course, if you're a fan from the Attitude Era, naturally you would think of the Attitude Era, of Bischoff and WCW, WWF, all that stuff. So of course, Miz Maurice renewing the vows. Miz tripped on his way to the ring. It's fine. He's only human. And then obviously we had these two who are married in real life, renewing their vows. And I thought they did a great job. They were selling the emotion. I fell for it. They actually kind of got me. I'm like, oh, they're actually crying. They love each other. They actually did look like I don't know, happy. They actually looked like two people in love. So I thought that was pretty cool. And speaking of things that are cool, Steve Chamberlain was cool to see Bischoff. So, yeah, this was fun. I didn't have a problem with it. And you did know that something was going to go wrong. And something did. So we had the renewal of the vows. Miz and Maurice were simultaneously saying that they love each other and they're going to, cherish each other forever. And also, saying, oh, Miz is going to win on Sunday and he's going to prove the Edge isn't the Edge of old. Harmless stuff. DJ ends. I'll hold up on that one. So then Edge comes out saying that he's gonna beat Miz's ass on Sunday. Oh, sorry, Saturday. I'm used to the Sunday day for pay-per-views. But before that, because Miz embarrassed him last week, he's gonna embarrass Midge tonight. So what did he do? He gave the Miz a quote unquote bloodbath. Now this was the second bloodbath. Eddie would have beat me to the punch within seconds. So Eddie's saying that Edge doing the bloodbath for the second time since his return. Of course, he gave Seth Rollins bloodbath during their the road to their match at SummerSlam, and now he gave the Miz a bloodbath here during his second wedding vow renewal kind of night, ruining the night for him on that one. And I should point out that yes, Miz tripped. I don't think that was planned. Maybe it was. It's fine, just kind of he was very graceful about it, kind of kept rolling. But yes, Edge with the quote unquote bloodbath, fun nostalgic stuff for the Brood. Brian Everett saying the bloodbath or the Brood bath was nice. The Brood music played, fun for nostalgia. No complaints on that one. But DJ pointed out the Gangrel needs to get involved here. If they keep bringing back the Brood baths here, I keep saying bloodbath. It's not blood. It is chocolate syrupy like goo. It's fun. I mean, this era of Edge, the Brood era, was a little before my time. I started watching WWE in 2008, and I caught up on some of the things that I missed. Otherwise, I went back and studied that era and studied all these things, but I didn't watch it at the time. I was literally a year old when the Brood was going strong, maybe 2 years old at that time. So a little before my time on that one, but. Especially if you were watching actively during that time, of course, that's a fun nostalgic thing for you. Fun end of the show here with Miz and Maurice, both drenched in chocolatey goo, fake, not blood, whatever you want to call it. This was fun. I thought this was kind of a nice way to kind of get the storyline back on track. I was talking about it last week with John here on the show that, the first week was strong and they kind of like lost some steam here in I think the next 2 weeks or so. And this was a fun way to kind of get it back on track. So can't complain on that one. Brew baths are fun. Good for nostalgia. Good for Edge. Love Edge. Big fan. And we're going into the show on Saturday. We got day one. Edge going to face The Miz. I previewed some of these other matches here. So Edge and Miz were both on show tonight. So assuming all goes well, they will both be on the show on Saturday for their match. I think it'll be fun. I'm a big fan of both guys. At this point, I think Edge needs it more in terms of he could easily take that win and feud with somebody else. If that's AJ Styles, as we were talking about on the show for a couple weeks now, if that's whoever the WWE champion is after day one. I meant to mention earlier, Edge faced Kevin Owens for the first time ever at WWE show from Madison Square Garden yesterday at the live event. So you could easily kind of think, okay, maybe we'll go there. Maybe they'll do that on the road to WrestleMania. I think that'd be fun. A lot of people want to see that. Edge has said he wants to see, I think that he wants to feud with Kevin Owens there. So I think that'd be pretty good. What's Richard Weaver? Hey, every time I say any single thing, if I say a word, anybody is more than welcome to disagree. What Richard's saying, he disagrees, saying Miz needs it more. I think they both need it in that sense. I think that's fair. I just think, I mean, it sounds crazy. It's crazy to say. We're in 2021. Just a couple months ago, Miz was the WWE champion. So, in that sense, like, does he need it? I don't necessarily think so. In terms of Miz is the kind of guy that could easily just kind of get some promos, get some heat, and be just fine. Not just she expects Miz to win. I think that's fair. As for Edge, maybe he'll bounce back. Stephen Chambers saying with a second Royal Rumble win in a row, maybe. I think it should go to someone else in terms of maybe, as I'm always a fan of the idea that the Royal Rumble, by and large, should go to a rising star. Obviously, the Edge comeback story this past year was great. In 2020, it was Drew McIntyre, so I'm a big fan of that in that sense. But yes, by that point, it will be, and that's playing out. It will be 2022, a whole new year. So, maybe Miz needs that win on day one of 2022, literally, to kick off his year on a strong note. So, and likewise, Richard Weaver saying Edge losing won't hurt him because he's Edge. He's a Hall of Famer. He's fine, and I think that's fair. So, with that, we're on the road to day one here, just a few short days away, despite all the stuff that's going on. For my thoughts on Raw here, I mean, with these shows that are clearly influenced by the COVID-19 situation and everything, the shorthanded, I can never really blame them all that much in terms of they're doing the best they possibly can. They had a show where they couldn't actually use Big E or Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch or Liv Morgan, who even knows who else was pulled from the show tonight. So I can't knock them further for that in terms of how I might have rated the show otherwise. So it's very much on a curve, even though Raw's already on a curve because we try not to grade too harshly in general. I would give Raw a 6, maybe even a 6.5 for that very reason, for the fact that it was one of these shorthanded shows. I mean, compared to some of the stuff that we saw, during the height of the pandemic era, I can't complain. They did the best they could. The fact that they still put on a show tonight at all, where we had Riddle and Gable and Orton and Otis, and we had the Street Profits and Mysterios, we had this fun wedding, we had Eric Bischoff and a fun cameo, we got all this fun stuff, despite all these things going on, with literally very, very clearly affecting the company with the COVID-19 situation. So DJ gave him a high 7 for simply trying the good old participation trophy, not in a sarcastic sense, but in a literal. I'm weighing on that. I will give him that participation, that A for effort, in that sense. And maybe you can say that's too generous, but when you're hit with something like this, you just got to give him credit because it's not easy to put on a show, to likely have to rewrite the whole show, kind of presumably with a quick turnaround. Nestor thing was decent, and Nestor, you had said earlier, it was fun because it was creative. They were forced to get creative. And we've seen it before. When WWE has to get creative, more often than not, it's more fun. So, with all these things being considered, I thought it was a pretty darn good, or if not at least solid, effort considering all these circumstances here. So Steven was 6, Nashville was 6.5. Richard Weaver was solid 6. Brandon Everett was a 6. They did their best considering the circumstances. I would agree. Richard Weaver saying it would have been a 4 if not for Bischoff. I mean, yeah, I thought that was a very fun surprise. So again, that is my big takeaway for tonight. When WWE has to get creative, that's at their best. So otherwise, far too often they get lazy, complacent, and they lean on the same old things. I don't think they really did any of the coexist stuff tonight, other than the indirect stuff with Tamina and R-Truth, where that was the implication. Yeah, again, the writers, the production, producers, who even knows how bare bones, how shorthanded they were tonight? I don't know. So, can't fault them on that one. Fairly solid show here. Again, we got day 1 on Saturday. I will likely do the post show on Sunday, just as like kind of the day after day 1 kind of thing there. Because yes, it is New Year's Day, and it is one of my days off. So forgive me for wanting to enjoy that, to ring in the new year with just taking it easy, because otherwise I'm constantly grinding, trying to help you all enjoy the wrestling as we do here at WrestleZone. So with that, likewise on Friday, they announced that it will indeed be a clip show for SmackDown. It will not be a live show. Therefore, Robert and I will not have an actual show for SmackDown this week. I'm sorry about that. Obviously, we had Christmas on Christmas Eve on Friday night. We're going to do a show for that. We're not going to do a show on that one. I had I think 2 weeks of doing GCW, and there's we do the best we possibly can. Sometimes sometimes the cookie does not crumble the right way. So sometimes with this, it's New Year's Eve, and literally in this case there'd be nothing to review. We could do a day 1 preview, but it's a holiday. I imagine many of you are going to want to be doing fun stuff. You're not going to be wanting to just be sitting here late into a Friday night, talking all things wrestling here. So, and I appreciate you all so much when you do. Do not get me wrong. I appreciate you beyond what I could possibly express. But it's New Year's Eve. I imagine you all will have much better things to do than listen to me ramble incoherently about wrestling for more than an hour late into the wee hours of a morning. But whenever you do, I appreciate it so much. Honestly, at the bottom of my heart, I thank you all so much for that. Not just thanking me for the work I do. I mean, I appreciate that more than I can even say. I try, to do these shows, to write the news, to do anything I can possibly do here to give you all good content, whether it's these shows or other podcasts or for WrestleZone or the news or editorials, whatever it might be. I do try as best I can. Day in, day out. And again, when I do have those days off, like on Saturday, it's like, all right. Sometimes I'll switch things around and be like, all right, I will, work it around and make changes. It's New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I'll do the show next day. I hope you'll join me on that one. But with that being said, last minute predictions for day 1. All right, last minute. If I had to go instantaneous here, boy oh boy. I think it'd be fun to see a Kevin Owens win the WWE title. I'm gonna lean on Big E. I just think that's probably the best play. John kind of seemed to disagree last week. He said that he doesn't see Big E lasting WrestleMania with a title. I think that's fair. Maybe he was at the Rumble. I don't know. But if you asked me to pick, I'm gonna go for Big E with if I can cheat with a solid kind of like runner up of Kevin Owens in that sense. Again, with the COVID situation definitely throwing a wrench in the whole thing. I don't know. But with a card that is announced as currently stands, that's my prediction for the WWE title match. Otherwise, we know that it will be RK Bro versus Street Profits. It's going to be RK Bro. Got to imagine that. Lost train of thought. That I got to imagine it's going to be RK Bro, and we'll see them split up here at some point soon. Nesha, very wisely, saying she's not going to make predictions based on what's going on. I could ask the question. I got to get my 2 cents. And if I'm sitting here on Sunday saying, well, folks, I was entirely off because the whole card was changed. All right. I'll easily take back my words on that one. But if you're asking me based on the card that we're supposed to get, this is what I'm going to say. So I got to imagine it's going to be RK Bro. And as for predicting somehow, whether it's the match actually happens or if something changes on Saturday, that Owens will win the belt, but Richard Weaver agreeing that it's going to be Big E. That's going to be my tentative pick, but I think Owens has a good shot. I think any of them could. I think any of them are strong, fairly strong cases, but those are my kind of leading contenders on that one. Assuming we're going to get Becky and Liv round 2, it's got to be Becky. Liv, I'm sorry, not seeing it right now. Maybe she'll win the Rumble and get a nice redemption story, but it's not right now. Edge and Miz. Steven Chambers saying it's going to be Edge. I gotta agree. I think the better place there of having Edge win and do something else in terms of AJ or challenging for the title. Again, if that's Kevin Owens, I don't know. I think that makes sense. Miz will be fine. Edge will be fine with loss as well. But there you go. If they add more matches to the card, I can't predict on them. I don't know. I had the Raw side of things queued up a minute ago. I'm probably blanking on stuff, but oh boy. What else? We got Roman and Brock. I got to imagine. I didn't get to talk about it last week. The masterful Roman Reigns plus Paul Heyman segment was probably a swerve. Paul Heyman's probably going to screw Brock Lesnar over at day 1, and we'll keep going from there. Maybe setting up a wrestling rematch. Reigns ain't losing on Saturday. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Reigns is going to keep going strong. What else? Assuming all those matches keep going. I don't think there's a SmackDown Women's Tag Team title match announced for the show. I'm going to quickly pull up the day 1 card as it is announced. But yeah, we know it will be Edge and Miz, as I said. Otherwise, here, the title matches, assuming they go on, I've made those predictions. WWE title, Universal title, SmackDown. We have the SmackDown Tag title of Uso New Day. I would assume Usos. I mean, I think New Day could win. I think that would make sense. I think that's kind of a toss-up on that one. That's just saying it's bedtime. All right, folks. All right. Yes, Ed, I am going way longer than I thought I would be. It's for doing the show by myself here tonight. I appreciate you all for sticking with me. It means the world for your support. Next should predict New Day on that one. Richard Weaver jokingly saying Glover will win holding the ropes, maybe. In terms of matches that aren't on the card, Steven Chambers saying maybe we'll get Nakamura versus Zayn. Zayn won a nice IC title match on SmackDown. Maybe for the kickoff. Maybe especially if they're shorthanded, could see it. But, I really, like Nash said, I don't even feel confident in these predictions for the matches because I don't know if they're going to go on as scheduled. But assuming all goes well, if everything works out, it looks like a great card. I'm sure it's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking all about it on Sunday. Next, asking about us real quick if Sami is resigned. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. I'm not sure exactly what his contract status is. As soon as I know more, as soon as we know more definitively here, also we'll pass it along to you. Deep breath. So, with that being said, we talked about Raw. We talked about the COVID-19 pandemic and all its scariness, for just being blunt. And we talked about day 1, talked about the plan for this week. No SmackDown show on Friday, but I will be back here Tuesday night to talk about WNXT. I hope you all join me. 2.0, excuse me. Otherwise, we'll be here on Sunday for the day 1 post show. Again, day 1 is on Saturday. I'll be here on Sunday. I hope that's all right. Hope you'll join me for that one. All these shows and more always available on SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, podcast, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. I have gone long overboard here because I want to engage with you and incorporate your comments and have an interactive discussion because you all are so kind in your support. I appreciate you so much. I would not be here if not for your support. If not for if not for you tuning in and commenting, I'd just be talking to the vacuum of the internet. So I appreciate you all so much. Richard Weaver saying thank you. No, thank you for tuning in. For all of you for tuning in and listening and commenting and making it fun. The show, watching Raw. I mean, borderline fun. Discussing Raw. That's where the real fun is with all of you. I appreciate you. Steven Chambers saying hopefully, yes, we'll see you tomorrow for NXT. I'll be here talking about NXT, and yes, we can hope. We can't hope. It will be a good show from NXT 2.0. But with that, yes, we're in the wee hours of Tuesday morning, so we'll be here back Tuesday night for NXT. And that being said, the real world, yet again, it's a terrifying place with all the stuff that's going on. I say that quite seriously. So with all that stuff going on right now, be well, be safe, take care, make good choices, and beyond everything else, as best we can. We at WrestleZone try to do one thing, and I hope you do the same. And that, my friends, is to enjoy wrestling. Thanks for listening, everyone.